Hi students, welcome back to my class. Students, we all know that the place where a plant or an animal lives in is called its habitat. These plants and animals have some features which allow them to survive in their particular environment. These features are known as adaptations. Today, we are going to study how different plants which grow in different regions, they adapt themselves in order to survive in their particular environment. Okay students, so let's study. Plants that grow in one region are different from those that grow in another region. This is because the temperature, amount of rainfall and the type of soil differ from one region to another region. According to their habitat, plants can be divided into two major groups: terrestrial plants or land plants and aquatic plants or water plants. Most of the plants grow on land. All the plants growing on land are called terrestrial plants. Pine, fir, neem, mango, etc. are terrestrial plants. Plants that grow in water are called aquatic plants. Lotus, tape grass, water hyacinth, hydrilla are some common examples of aquatic plants. First, study about terrestrial plants. Plants that live and grow on land are called terrestrial plants. Terrestrial means land. Land has forests, mountains, plains and deserts. There are also some places where it rains heavily. Some places receive medium or very little rain. Terrestrial plants are found in different surroundings such as plains, coastal areas, mountains and deserts. These places have different soils and climatic conditions. On the basis of the type of soil and climatic conditions of the place, terrestrial plants can be divided into plants in deserts, plants in hills, plants in marshy areas and plants in plains. The plains are flat, large areas of land. The climate in plains is neither too hot nor too cold. Plains receive moderate rainfall. Trees in these regions have thin and broad leaves so that they can capture a lot of sunlight to make their food. These trees shed their leaves during the winter season. Trees such as neem, banyan, peepal, ashok, sisam, mango, gulmohar, sal, etc. grow in the plains. In summer, trees that grow in warmer areas of the plains are full of leaves. They help the trees to lose water and keep cool in the hot conditions. In winter, there is not much sunlight. So the trees shed their leaves in winter to save on food and also helps the trees to reduce the loss of water. It rains heavily in some parts of the plains. Trees such as rubber and rosewood grow in these areas. These trees keep replacing their old leaves throughout the year and so they appear to be green and are called evergreen trees. Coconut trees grow in coastal plains. These plains are generally very windy. So a coconut tree has a flexible trunk and its leaves have many divisions which help it to bear strong winds. The coconut tree which has leaves with many divisions are known as fronds. Now plants in marshy areas. Marshy places have sticky and clay soil and plenty of water. Such areas are also called swamps. The roots of the plants growing in marshes are unable to get air. Therefore, the roots of these plants come out of water and soil to breathe because the clay soil does not allow the roots to breathe. So, the roots grow above the ground. These roots are called the breathing roots and the plants that grow in marshy areas are called mangroves. Mangroves, especially the Sundarbans mangroves, are examples of such types of plants. Plants that grow in hilly areas and mountains adapt themselves to survive in cold conditions. Trees such as pine, fir, deodar grow in cold hilly areas or on mountains. They have thick barks. They are tall, straight and cone shaped. The waxy needle-like leaves do not allow the trees to lose their water, and so the trees remain green even in the extreme cold. The sloping branches help the trees to slide off the snow easily. These trees have cones instead of flowers, which protect the seeds against the cold. Deserts are very hot and dry regions. Very few plants grow there because deserts receive very little rain. Cactus plants, kikars, date palms grow in deserts. These plants are also called xerophytes. To obtain water from the soil and to prevent water loss, desert plants have the following features. They either have very few leaves or no leaf at all. In such plants, photosynthesis is carried out by the green stem itself. They have spines instead of leaves. Spines prevent the loss of water and thus plants retain water. Spines also help them protect from animals that might eat them. They have thick and fleshy stems that can store water. The stems have a thick waxy skin which reduces loss of water. They have long roots that go deep into the ground to absorb water. Desert plants like the cactus and prickly pear have leaves that are reduced to spines and they store water and food in their stems. Okay students, now let's study about aquatic plants. Plants that live and grow in water are called aquatic plants. Aquatic plants grow in ponds, lakes, rivers, streams and oceans. There are three types of aquatic plants. They are floating plants, fixed plants and underwater plants. Now let's study all of them in detail. Now floating plants. Floating plants float freely in water. To float easily on water, these plants have the following features. They have small and light bodies that can float. Some plants have spongy and air-filled stems. This makes them light enough to float easily. The best examples of floating plants are water hyacinth and the duckweed. These light spongy plants float freely on the surface of the water. Their stems are reduced and roots are poorly developed. The leaves have a thin waxy coating so that water may not wet the surface and block the stomata. Now students, we will study about fixed plants. Lotus and water lily are fixed plants. These plants have roots that are fixed to the bottom of ponds, but most of their vegetation is above water. They have long, hollow, flexible stems with broad and flat leaves that float on the surface of water. The upper surface of their leaves have a waxy coating and stomata to absorb air. Now students, these are the lotus plants. They have hollow and light stems that keep the leaves and the flower afloat. The broad and the flat leaves help the plant to float on the surface of water. Their leaves have stomata on the upper surface to breathe easily. Their roots are fixed to the bed of the pond. So they are known as the fixed plants. The large leaves allow these plants to get enough air and sunlight to carry out photosynthesis. The stems are hollow and flexible, which allow the plants to bend with the flow of water. Now we will study about underwater plants. These plants remain completely submerged in water. They have narrow and thin leaves and flexible stems that offer little resistance to the water currents. They breathe through their body surface and do not have stomata. Hydrilla, tape grass, pondweed are some examples of underwater plants. Hydrilla has thin small leaves while tape grass has narrow leaves that look like ribbons. They also have flexible stems. The thin leaves and the flexible stems help these plants to let the water flow easily over them. And since they do not have stomata, they breathe through their body surface. Okay, students? Students, apart from terrestrial and aquatic plants, there are some special categories of plants which are carnivores. Plants such as the Venus flytrap and pitcher plant grow in soil that is poor in minerals. They trap insects and feed on them to get their required nutrients. Since they eat insects, so they are called insectivorous plants. Venus flytrap and pitcher plant trap insects with the help of their specially designed leaves. They derive nutrients from the insects that they trap. Venus flytrap has hair along the edges of the leaves to catch the insects, while in pitcher plants, leaves are in the form of a pitcher with a lid. When an insect sits in the pitcher, the lid is covered to trap the insect. Okay? Students, plants also develop different adaptations to protect themselves from being eaten up by the animals. Many plants like poison ivy have poison in them. This keeps the animals away from them. When we touch poison ivy plant, our skin starts itching. Similarly, plants such as rose, cactus and bubble have spines to protect them from being eaten up by the animals. The spines protect these plants from the animals. The touch-me-not plant closes its leaves when touched. As a result, animals get scared and do not eat the plant. So students, that's all for today. Have a nice day. Thank you.